What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Sharkpine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk or check us out anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Massive news today. Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it means everything. We're diving into the latest on Aaron Rodgers and what a return to practice means for the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, plus a wide receiver that has emerged that we talked about a little bit yesterday. Need to talk about a little bit more today. We'll dive into bold predictions for this weekend's game. It's a rainy one here in the Berg, but it's a good one because the quarterback's back in practice. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling great. You kind of buried the lead there a little bit. There's reason to rejoice from news coming out of Pittsburgh Steelers practice there. I know that's making me a little happy when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
Making you happy. I'm sure the picnic pack is thrilled as well, but I'm doing good. I'm happy to dive into it today. An excellent day to make some bold predictions, I would say, coming off of some interesting developments at UPMC's Rooney Sports Complex, or however you say it.
It was an interesting one. Look, I will say and start with the anticipation and the expectation was Aaron Rodgers was going to be out there today to some capacity. However, seeing it in person, being able to actually judge a throw from the quarterback and how he takes snaps and so on and so forth changes the entire game. We got an actual visual representation of what Aaron Rodgers was doing and what he's capable of doing at this point in his healing process, which is obviously significant. For those of you who do not know, Aaron Rodgers returned to practice today for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was able to take snaps, do a little bit of throwing, and work with the quarterbacks, at least during the portion of practice that we were able to report on, which is huge. It's his first day back from the injury. He spoke yesterday and made it sound like he was going to at least test the waters, and then it was just about how those waters felt and how rocky things were, and if he can secure the football and protect himself before a game on Sunday. He had a brace on his wrist, which is nothing to ignore, but I don't think anything that is out of the ordinary when you have a, broken wrist on your left arm. Rodgers is out there. Let me give you my analysis.
Yeah, Dr. Noah, tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, let me run down what I think exactly is the upper bone in the. No, let me give you my analysis on the situation here. Aaron looked smooth. He looked pretty comfortable out there. There was no moments of like, oh man, dude, Aaron, that looks rough. Aaron's not going to be able to play. To be very honest with you, if he didn't have a brace on, you wouldn't even know anything's wrong, which in my head helps the situation. And I think pushes the narrative more towards Aaron Rodgers maybe good to go by Sunday. There's a long way between now and Sunday, but I think for a start to be out there on Thursday and practice the way that he did and look the way that he did, the throwing was fine. The shotgun snaps were fine. There wasn't much, like you can't judge much of the under center stuff because you don't get to report on team drills. So once Zach Frazier was snapping the ball to Aaron Rodgers, it was a different situation. But I think overall in an individual drill, no contact, no pressure, just doing the basics situation, Rodgers looked very comfortable. And if he did not, again, have a brace on his left arm, you wouldn't even know anything was going on. The return today, the videos that were out there that you were able to get a glimpse on, what's your thoughts? Do you think you've changed your mindset at all, either more towards or less towards him playing on Sunday?
I think if anything, it's just shifted towards more confidence and more certainty that he is going to play on Sunday. You look at him being out there, and yes, I was not there today, but from the videos I saw a few people posting and from talking to you, it seems like he is pretty much the same. You just got to see how functional he can be with that brace on that non-throwing hand. And the big question remains is how capable is he of protecting himself if he is going to be taken down to the ground, if the offensive line is not able to give him the support? How comfortable and confident are you in his ability to not further injure himself? If that all checks out, great.
Yes.
But when you look at him taking that next step, yes, it was outlined as part of Mike Tomlin's plan for the week to evaluate the position, but the plan is in progress. He's taking that next step. I'm eager to see how everything goes tomorrow when I am down there in person. And, I think when you look at that and when you look at kind of how, I wrote a story on this today about, a season in the 70s when Terry Bradshaw played through something similar. You look at something, I think it was last season that Josh Allen played through a broken hand.
Yep.
You go down the line, there's a lot of non-throwing hand, wrist, arm injuries that quarterbacks continue to play through. So you combine that with the fact that he has made that next step and taken that next step for the Pittsburgh Steelers in practice. And yeah, I'm feeling confident that he is going to play. And I think it is another Mason Rudolph getting the rug swept out from under him once again. And I think it's kind of funny.
I also think it's a little funny. Like I'm rooting for Mason. I'm laughing more so on the like Steelers are just so obviously against this guy than I am more so. Mason keeps getting screwed over. Terrible. But I feel the same. Rodgers is most likely going to play on Sunday. I have a hard time thinking he's not going to play on Sunday. Today was that step in that direction. Again, what happens and where he goes from here is different. I think today is the first day that we get a real litmus test of how he's going to be able to handle Sunday. Tomorrow is when we really truly know that whether or not Aaron is comfortable enough to play. Because if Aaron's out there tomorrow and everything's normal and everything is as is, then I think he's playing 100%. If Aaron is not out there tomorrow or is limited or takes some sort of step backwards, then today was too much and he's going to have to. I think tomorrow's when we really truly find out, but I agree with you. I have a hard time thinking he's not going to play on Sunday. He looks way too confident playing. He looks way too excited to be out there against the Bears. And I'm sorry, Mason, but it is not the go. Does your mind change at all? Like, actually, because him being on the field usually, getting to see it usually changes how people feel about things. It's super dramatic in your head when it happens. Oh my gosh, he's playing with a broken wrist. What are you doing? Why are you letting him do this? And then you go out there and you go, okay, like everything looks pretty normal outside of the fact that he actually does have a broken wrist. Did it change your mind at all towards the should he play versus should he not play argument? Because I think a lot of people stood on the don't let him play. He shouldn't be playing this early in the season. And then you see that and you go, I mean, nothing looks much different for Aaron Rodgers here.
Yeah. And I think, I think I need to be the first one to admit that I was a person on that other side of the conversation. I looked at the next couple of weeks. I looked at an injured player, not understanding the full circumstances of it, and thought it's an easy no-brainer decision to not start your injured quarterback if you can rest him and help him heal for the sake of the greater good that is the 2025 season. Now that you see a little bit of action of him, some videos of him in practice, you hear from him, you look through his injury history again, you look through what some quarterbacks recently and going back decades have played through. This doesn't necessarily strike me as much as it first did as an injury that should derail him too much. And then amongst all this other stuff, as we've been talking about all week, there's this huge, pain reliever, motivator, cure-all that is the Chicago Bears await him on Sunday. So it's not like, I think if we, as we mentioned probably yesterday and the day before, if we're talking about the Buffalo Bills game, I don't know if that same anticipation sort of is there. But I think that all being said, yes, I've certainly shifted my view from, okay, this is a must-sit situation for Aaron Rodgers to,
yeah,
okay, I think they can manage it pretty well. I think he probably can go as long as there wasn't a setback today or tomorrow in practice.
How much of that changed when you saw him throw compared to how much did that change when you realized Terry Bradshaw in the 70s played through a broken wrist for 3, which meant that he had a piece of tape essentially around his arm holding his wrist together saying, yeah, you're good. Go out there and play some football games for 3 months.
It's genuinely all Rodgers throwing, because those guys in the 70s, you'd have like 3 broken bones in your arm, then they'd put you in an aluminum
Oh,
cast, and somehow and then you just give everyone a concussion, and they'd be like, "That's great. That's, they do what
that's
you
how
had to
men
do.
play football. There's
Do what you had to do."
concussions. With concussions, that's how you play football with some
If
brain
you
injuries.
Everyone
That's
should
it.
I would encourage everyone to go back and watch anything from the 77 season, because he is wearing this ginormous brace on his left hand, and it is just like, yeah, that thing was pretty secure for a couple months.
Could you imagine taking a snap with a big giant, like essentially
He was under
like a
center.
regular cast? Yeah, like this is like I'm 12 years old and I just broke my wrist riding a scooter cast.
Yeah,
And he's out there taking snaps, like
Mhm.
absolutely crazy. Somebody with tiny hands would never, dude. They would never be able to hold that football.
Oh,
Ever.
Kenny Pickett, it'd be slip sliding all over the place.
You get one hand. It'd be just all. What are we doing? What are we doing? Crazy, crazy. All right, let's talk some wide receivers for the 17th time in 2 years. Really, maybe the first time ever. The New Orleans Saints yesterday decided that they were done with Brandon Cooks, 32 years old, essentially another NVS. This conversation may be short, but it's one that everybody needs to have because people are asking for sure. Should the Steelers go after Brandon Cooks? Former New Orleans Saints, former New England Patriot that I think everybody forgets he spent a year with the New England Patriots. I certainly did.
Yeah,
Should
1,000-yard
they go after
season
him?
with the Patriots, no less. Should
Yeah,
they go
11 years ago.
Yeah, let's look back at that season in 1989.
Yes, I could tell you he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season since 2020, I believe. The last time he
21,
started a
very
full
close.
21, last time he started a full season was the year after that, I believe. 10 games the last 2 seasons as a starter, and then he's been injured. Now he's a free agent. He's got like 106. He's got Roman Wilson numbers right now heading into the back half of the year here. I mean, I'll ask you again. Should they do it? Should they even look at him?
No, no. I don't mean this no. There's no reason to consider him. You look at just what he's doing this year: 10 games, 19 receptions, 25 targets, 8.7 yards. 8.7 yards on average per reception. That's the lowest in his entire career. We're looking at no touchdowns, no catches beyond 21 yards. This is a wide receiver whose game, when it was impactful and a difference maker and enough to trade first round picks for once upon a time, it was him going over the middle. It was him going down the field. It was him, you look back, I have his career stats. The longest reception in each season between 2014 and 2021 is ridiculous. It's 71 yards, a 98 yards, 64 yards, 57 yards, 57 yards. You look at the last couple of years, 29, 21. Like, this is not that same player.
It's that boost
he was years ago, but now, the 32-year-old is not a viable option. If you think Roman Wilson is worth elevating, then there's no way a player like Brandon Cooks could be above him at that point, because he's not even a player that I would consider to be more impactful than an MVS on your practice squad. So it's a big old pass from me. If you feel differently, I'm all ears, but I imagine you feel similar.
Very much so, on the same boat. Yeah, they should definitely sign him. Never. They shouldn't even think about it. They shouldn't even consider until MVS is on the field or Jaylen Warren gets released by the Dolphins. I don't care what the Steelers do at wide receiver because it means nothing. Do not bring him on. What are you going to – you're going to sign another guy to stand on your practice squad? You're the greatest wide receiver practice squad of 2012. Let me tell you. It'd be the greatest thing on turf 10 years ago. It makes no – Jacob, me and you have been at practice, okay? We have collectively seen MVS take zero snaps. I haven't even seen him take an actual rep. I have not seen him out on the field catch a football one time. I haven't seen him run a route. Like, what? Brandon Cooks is just going to come in here and do the same thing? No. He's Calvin Austin plus 10 years. He's Roman Wilson plus 10 years. Like, what are you doing?
No, you're right.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. His name's out there. A lot of people toss it out there as a possibility. I tell you this, my only response is the second MVS plays it down for the Steelers, I'll have conversations about other wide receivers. But right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been searching for a number 2 for 2 years in a row now. 2 years in a row. The Pittsburgh Steelers have traded away their number 2 wide receiver and have dug as deep as possible to find another one. And they have come up with 2 names, Mike Williams and MVS, that have combined to do literally nothing. Literally nothing. If Mike Williams didn't catch a game-winning touchdown in his first game ever, we wouldn't have a single memory of Mike Williams outside of the fact that he never played ever. So until they actually put some, I don't want any veterans. I'm done. I'm done with the veteran train. I'm done with them. You know what I mean? Go draft every 3rd round wide receiver possible because they don't play either. And maybe one of them will click. But until then, no. Nope. I'm so against it. So against it.
Don't do it, Omar. I know you listen, buddy. Come on. Just listen to us.
Omar he's probably already on the phone, dude. He's probably already on the phone. All right.
Ugh.
Brandon Cooks, fun time. Let's talk some actual Pittsburgh Steelers football. Chicago Bears this weekend. Big game. Aaron Rodgers, big maybe. We'll see what happens. I want to go through bold predictions for this one because I got one. Maybe you have one about the same guy I have one for, but I got one on the defensive side of the football. I got one on the offensive side of the football. I'm excited to share them with you. I'm going to let you go first, though. Bold prediction. We'll go back and forth. Bold prediction number 1 for Jacob Punturi. What do we got?
I'll start with an offensive side of the ball one for you. We just talked about how we thankfully both agree that Brandon Cooks is not an option, should not even be considered. But you know who's wide receiver 2 right now? It's my favorite wide receiver. It's a player I believed in for months and years, some would say. It's Roman Wilson, 3rd round pick in 2024. I think that this is actually going to be a great game for him to pop off, regardless of who is at quarterback. And my bold prediction is that Roman Wilson records 75 plus receiving yards.
Let's
plus
go.
A touchdown. That's not a garbage time touchdown either. I'm talking first 3 quarters, baby. I'm talking a meaningful touchdown for Mr. Roman Wilson. And everyone can just be like, wow, Jacob was so right for all this time. He never said anything bad about him. So that's my first one.
All right. Roman over 75 yards and a touchdown. The reason I say this one's very possible is because Roman is wide receiver 2 for the Steelers right now. And I know people don't want to admit it. I know people are still I know, this guy named Noah Strackbine is such a big fan of Calvin Austin that, you just don't want to admit it, but I'm ready to admit it. Calvin's in the doghouse. Roman is wide receiver 2, and the Steelers are finally letting that dude do something. And I don't know if it's going to work. We'll see what happens, but he's a 3rd round pick. The talent is there. If he could put it on the field, if he could showcase the things that he's yet to showcase, you got to feel good about it. I'll follow you up on that one. My bold prediction is that the guy throwing him that touchdown is Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron has not a good game against the Bears. He always has good games against the Bears. I'm saying the best game he will ever have as a Pittsburgh Steeler will come in week 12 in Chicago, the city he has self-declared to own. And I don't know what that number is right now. It's better than the 296, I believe, is his best so far this season. Maybe it's 304, something in that ballpark. It's better than that. I'm talking the best game he will ever have, ever, for the Pittsburgh Steelers comes this weekend, whatever that number is.
I like it. And, to your credit, the number to beat's 249 for passing yards.
He might double that. Cool. A sound 498 sounds really good. 498 sounds good.
No, that was right. Did you do that by saying to yourself, that's 250 2 times minus 2? Or how did you just know them?
I'm not going to lie to you. I am, and you can ask my wife this. She gets mad at me every time we do tips, and I just tell her the number before she's like, I'm like $7. And she's like, I like to double check, Noah. I don't know I'm not smart, very unintelligent human being. Math to me is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I think it's my secret superpower. Flunked algebra in college, or calc. I think it was calc in college twice. I got a D on numbers and figures. That's how I got out of college, was getting a D on numbers and figures, which, shout out to Point Park, I cheated on. And they caught me cheating because somebody else in the class also got a D. And they said, did you guys cheat? And I said, no. And my advisor went, what? You need this to graduate, so we're not going to say anything about it. But if you got a C, we were going to say something about it. I'm an idiot, but math, man, hits in my head. It's crazy. It's crazy. Super off topic.
Everyone has a D in there. You know, if you got a college degree, you probably had a D in there somewhere. And I can tell you, I can remember the exact class I walked into. It was a biopsychology class. Good thing I'm a writer. And I begged my professor. I had like a D-. I was like, how about a plus? Just so I can get a credit. just
so I could get a credit. I will say that most of my degree, most of them just say degree. That's, you know what I mean? Once in a while, it's a no buzz. Nope. Very minimal buzz. You had to go to class to get buzz. That was not my strong suit.
That's my problem too.
No doubt about it. All right, let's toss it back over to you. Bold prediction 2 here from good old Jacob. What do we got?
I'm going to throw it over to the defensive side of the ball here. I think Jalen Ramsey might have unlocked a very heelish sort of new reborn figure that is Jalen Ramsey, the monster of the NFL secondaries. I think his campaign of destruction targets Rome Odunze on Sunday. And I think he's going to get in his grill so much, he's going to get in his face so much that it will not only be a under 50-yard performance for their top wideout, it will also be a game where we see him take a personal foul because Jalen Ramsey continues to get under his skin all game long. And I think we're going to continue to see this sort of pest in the side of thorn in the side of every single team for the rest of the way from Jalen Ramsey. So I think he's going to be an impact player, and it might not be interceptions or forced fumbles or any of that, but he's going to be the reason Rome Odunze does nothing.
Does he get spit on twice? Back-to-back spit
I can't say it's double spits, but
double loogie here. A little double loogie action. Oh my gosh. I could see it happening. I mean, I will say Rome Odunze, cool, calm, and collected for a guy who's got a dad who loves to tweet, you know, which usually it's the other way. Usually if dad's off the rockers, kids get right there with, yeah, dude, tell Pops Baker Mayfield sucks. Tweet it again. Shout out to Odell Beckham Jr. Devin Bush's dad going on 93.7 The Fan because just to defend that his kid didn't stink when his kid stunk. Like, shout out to Rome Odunze because that was good. I could see that happening. I think the Steelers defense rattles somebody in this game. This is a young offense, and they have the guys that hit you, you know, and you get hit enough times, you're going to get razzled in some way or another. You're going to get razzled. And I think that Odunze could be the guy to watch. Jalen's going to be on fire in this game. I agree with you there. Jalen's pissed. You know what I mean? He got spit on. People are talking about him. He's probably going to get fined on Saturday. Pissed. I could see it happening. I could definitely see it happening. All right. My 2 here. Let me take the ring off for this one. Check the watch. Pull the sleeves up. You ready for this? Bold prediction 2 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Darius Slay gets benched by halftime. My bold prediction is the Pierre train is back. The island has formed once again, and we are JPing it all over in week 12 before the end of the second quarter. I think Darius Slay finds himself on the bench, not because of injury, but because of performance. And James Pierre is out there doing James Pierre things, whatever they may be.
Wow, I am. You, that is the boldest of predictions that you may have ever levied going into a game, my friend.
Darius Slay
He
gone.
gets taken off the field due to performance. That is what that's
Yeah.
the claim.
That's the claim. Benched by halftime.
Whoa.
Benched. Capital
Wow.
Benched.
Now
Benched.
listen, I'm buying first class tickets to Pierre Island. It's Pangea. It's Pierre's Pangea at this point. Like he is locking it down. I think it's just I will be shocked when Slay gets taken off of the field for performance. That's where I'll leave it at that. But that's a bold prediction, brother. We all want to see it. No disrespect to Darius Slay. The guy is a Super Bowl winning cornerback. The guy's cooler than I'll ever be, has more money than I'll ever have, and he has a great life, I hope. But man, he's not the starting cornerback the Steelers need to actually make a run here. I'm not saying James Pierre is. It's just I'm definitively sure it's not Darius Slay.
I'm definitively sure it's not Darius. That's the best compliment James Pierre's ever gotten in his whole life. I don't know if you're good, but I do know that you're better than Darius Slay. So shout out. That's our bold predictions for this week. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for Chicago. I think this is going to be a good game. To be real, we'll get into picks tomorrow, but I think Chicago Pittsburgh is going to be a good one, a fun one to watch. And I feel like the Steelers haven't had a fun game to watch in a minute. You know what I mean? A lot of like kind of boring games. I'm excited. I think Chicago Pittsburgh could be a fun game. All right. With that said, guys, that's everything on our agenda. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering as many questions as we can. So start tossing them in the chat. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough. Before we get going, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We almost at 55 there, brother. I think we're like 20 away, so let's do it. I know there's 20 people here. I know there's 20 people who have not subscribed.
Subscribe. This is what else? You get stuff this good? Nowhere.
We're going to start with Dan here. At what point do we call this season a success?
Win a playoff game.
Yeah, win a playoff game. I think that's the borderline for success for the Steelers at all. Like, right, for the rest of time, it's can you win? And it's the rest of Mike Tomlin's time in Pittsburgh. I think the only way to prove a successful season is to win a playoff game. Truly.
Yeah, that's the baseline. You know, unless the Steelers are in a full-on rebuilding process, and maybe they will be in the next couple of years, right? Then those expectations temper. But for right now, there is no way to render this season a success. I don't care if Jaylen Warren becomes a Pro Bowl running back. I don't care if Jalen Ramsey reasserts himself as a top 5 defensive back in the league. Like, none of that matters if you went 9-7. Or 9-8, 10-7 once again, and got, bounced out in the wild card round. It's just that's a failure of a season. I think the Steelers would tell you that. I think the players in the locker room would tell you that as well. So I think we got to hold them to that.
Yeah, I very much so agree. Very much so. And can they get there? Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
I think so. Duffy Buckets, Noah, can you ask Mike T during his next availability if he has a time frame that we can expect MVS to be activated? I can. I've also talked to people. And right now there is no plan. Steelers don't even have they don't even view MVS as an option. He is a practice squad player. That comes from sources inside that building. You know what I mean? Like, I'm obviously not making phone calls. Hey, when is MVS being called up? But you're having Aaron's hurt. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking to people on the daily right now. And in those conversations, you're asking other questions. And in those conversations, MVS comes up quite regularly. And right now, they don't view him as anything more than a practice squad guy. Nothing more than a practice squad guy.
Yeah. what else could he be? You know, I mean, they have given him no shot, and maybe there is just nothing there, right? Like maybe he is just. I feel like we say this about, in our endless carousel that is the wide receiver conversations. We always have these
What?
moments. It's whether it's Isaiah Hodgins or Keyshawn Williams or any
Shut
of these
up.
players that are sitting there that you're just like, maybe they have something more to give. And sometimes they do, but sometimes there's a reason these guys aren't signed or on a practice squad. And sometimes the teams just know a little bit better. And so I think that's kind of where I'm at with MVS. As excited as I want to be and try to sort of get myself to be about adding someone that could be impactful, it's not the reality.
It's over. It's over. It was fun. When was it? We never talk about wide receivers on the show. Never. I don't know if I'm in a joking mood today. Love Roman.
And Cordero Patterson.
CP84, baby, all day. I think it was the math. I think I'm fired up because of the math. You know what I mean? Got the brain.
Dude, that math was crazy. Like, I'm not kidding when I said I saw 249. I had to add 1 to it and get to 250 and then multiply that twice, get to 500. And then I was like, I got 2 extra, 498. That's how I did that. It took me probably 3 seconds of mental computation to get there. And you were like, impressive. 498.
That's pretty impressive, dude.
I hate you.
3 seconds is as fast as a Honda. You know what I mean? That's pretty good.
That's as fast as my Honda. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I love Noah. Love Will Howard. I do love Will Howard. We don't need Cooks. Do we really need another bench warmer that can't afford a ticket to ride the Mike Tomlin train? He doesn't even offer snacks on it. He doesn't, dude. Mike T would be the worst host ever. It'd be awful, dude. It'd be awful. No, I agree. Brandon Cooks shouldn't even get a phone call. Nobody should get a phone. But Brandon Cooks right in the. You know what? Here you go. Here's a good question. It's not a good question, but here's a question for you. Brandon Cooks or OBJ? You got to sign one. Who you signing?
Oh, Brandon Cooks. He's at least played a game this year.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Signing Odell Beckham Jr. is like just like bringing your cousin. You know what I mean? Like that. Like, what are you doing? You're just like, no, we just need an extra player to run 5-on-5. I brought my cousin Ronnie. You know, like that's what that's like. The guy's been the guy's fresh off of just.
Ronnie's not the ball, dude. Ronnie isn't shooting one shot, not one. He's just over there. He's playing defense. He's running down. One time he's going to get the ball in the corner and he's going to shoot it, dude. And he better make that because that's the only pass he's going to get the whole game. Dude.
I just think Odell Beckham is like the senior or the freshman in college who's going back to his high school. Like, I think you passed it, buddy. You got to quit coming back. You got to just move on. I don't think he's an NFL receiver.
I agree. I don't disagree. Shout out to Isaiah Hodgins. Led the Giants in receiving yards last week. Anything's possible with Jameis, dude. Anything's possible.
What a mistake.
And that they didn't give him a shot. Yes, that one's a yes, actually. Like, what are you? Scotty Miller hasn't taken a snap, guys. He hasn't taken a snap since Ireland. He got hurt in practice. His body was like, oh my gosh, we're playing football again? What? He snapped his finger right in half.
Noah, he brings Danny Smith his gum. Okay.
He doesn't even play special teams. That's the craziest part. He doesn't even play special teams. What? I love Scotty Miller, dude. I think Scotty Miller is a talented 53-man roster guy. I truly do. If your roster didn't consist of a bunch of Scotty Millers and Ben Skoranek, like they're all the same player, they're just different sizes. What? Shout out to Isaiah Hodgins, man. Shout out to Isaiah Hodgins.
That's crazy.
That's the guy right there. Chris, the more I think about a rebuild, the more I think we should trade down this year to get another first next year for 2027 franchise quarterback makes sense. I think the Steelers could possibly do that, but I also think the Steelers are going to look at it and say, this wide receiver class is not slim pickings. It's slim at quarterback, but there are a lot of good offensive linemen. There are a lot of good corners. There are a lot of good wide receivers. So while I am always open to the idea of trading back, I think being able to get a first-round talent to support your eventual franchise quarterback, also not a bad idea, especially if you feel confident enough that you can make a move next year to go get that guy. And let's be honest, if it's Mason Rudolph versus Will Howard, like maybe they stun us, but the Steelers can't be going into that season expecting to win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? They're expecting to pick 15th. So at that point, you don't even have to move up that far. I'm always open to trading back. I'm just pointing out from the Steelers' perspective here, a lot of good players in this draft. A lot. Not quarterbacks, but a lot of good players.
Yes, I certainly agree with that. I think if it's worthwhile, sure. And I think there has to be a continued eye toward the future when the Steelers are making these moves and evaluating, who they're bringing in and for what. But I think I know the waters have sort of cooled surrounding the 2026 NFL draft, and I get it because the quarterback class isn't impressive anymore. But I think there are a lot of other positions, especially ones that are positions of needs for the Steelers, defensive line, offensive line, wide receiver, secondary. Yeah. Like there's a lot of players you could target. So if you think you have guys who can be a part of a championship window in 26 through 2030, I don't really care if you get them in 26 or in the 27 draft. Omar can work that out and I'll let him do it. I'll be fine with it.
I agree. And at the same time, if you could trade back if you are in a premium spot where somebody's there and offers you a great deal, you know what I mean? The Atlanta Falcons trading up for a guy that we don't even remember anymore in the top 20 there, in the 20 to 30. Remember that when they did that this year? They gave away like 2 second-round picks and a first. Like if the Atlanta Falcons call, answer the phone. Like just all right, let's have a negotiation. You're terrible at your job. Let's talk this out. But I think there's consideration to build and not move at the same time. Shout out to the Atlanta Falcons.
How many people do you think have made a joke about Michael Penix with his injury?
What would the joke be?
He's out for the year. Well, I think he tore his
ACL, right? Kirk Cousins time, baby.
Yeah, future Steelers quarterback Kirk Cousins. No,
audition number 1.
Since I saw that Michael Penix got injured, and shout out to him, hope he's recovers ASAP, all goes smoothly. I just thought to myself, I wonder how many people are saying he has a torn penis.
This show's gone too far, guys. This show's gotten too far. Way too far. DK, still a field supporter here. Is his career over? I think his career as a starter is most likely over. Yes. I think Justin Fields' time as a starting quarterback has most likely come to an end here.
Do you actually want him back on, like, if he could be
part
of the competition in carousel?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I don't hate that. Genuinely, I don't.
It just depending. It's all circumstance built, but if the Steelers' options are Kirk Cousins, Joe Flacco, or Justin Fields to compete with Mason Rudolph and Will Howard, 100 times out of 100 times, I'm taking Justin Fields. 100 times. Now, if the Steelers are and I'll know more towards the NFL draft, but right now, you want to know the quarterback that I know the Steelers are in love with? The only one that they're actually in love with, Fernando Mendoza, who will be gone with the first pick in the NFL draft. He will last one pick before they have to find another option. And right now they don't love anybody else. So if that's the case, if they're not going rookie, yes, I would take Justin. I think it will be cheap. I think he's a quality backup, and I think Arthur Smith really liked him. Yeah.
Well, Arthur Smith's going to be in Tennessee, so you think he goes and backs up Cam Ward?
If Arthur Smith goes back to Tennessee after saying last year that after being a head coach, he's not going to go be just anybody's head coach, he's going to look at circumstance, he is the definition of dumb. Because what are you doing, brother?
Well, do you know how the circumstance changes?
Well, money.
Yeah,
but you make more in college football most time. I mean, North Carolina, Bill Belichick's got a buyout bigger than anybody in the NFL, brother. You know what I mean? Like Bill I would go coach college football just to get fired. I would go coach college football just to be like, how quickly can I actually leave? Because I'm just looking for the buyout. Mike Tomlin doesn't get buyout. He's the last 2 years of his deal. That's it. But I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. I just think you like, would there be enough money for you? Yeah, that's a dumb question. We're normal humans. Like, you really think that he'd go to Tennessee? Do you really think that he'd go risk his career with like that?
After going to the Jets?
Who went to the Jets? No, Arthur
Oh,
Smith.
I thought you were talking about Fields again.
Dude,
Arthur
Justin
Smith,
Fields
yeah,
went to the
because
Jets, dude. He already made his mistake.
that's why I was blown away. I was like, you think that's a risk? Yeah, I do think Arthur Smith would, because again, I think money talks, and I think the appeal of being a head coach again is probably something that a lot of coordinators don't want to turn down a second time. So I would be shocked. I just think he's going to be a consistent name brought up in the head coaching search once those things begin. And despite this is not saying he's been one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL by any margin or any metric. That certainly is not coming from my opinion, but I just think he is a very well-known and sought-after coach that is going to be on a lot of radars. Won't be shocked if he's with another organization.
Another organization, I agree with. If it's the Jets, I'm going to go personally talk to him and say, Art, look it, brother. Like, I get it. You got a mustache built for New York, okay? Or a mustache built for the South. Sorry, now I'm all confused. But you don't want to be there. Nobody wants to be there. You're going to get fired. Everybody gets fired. Mike Vrabel got fired. Mike Vrabel got fired for being decent. Shout out. W. Travis. Noah, what's more likely, DK for 2 touchdowns or 100 yards this weekend? Oh, that's a good question. That's actually good. That's a good what's more likely there. That's a really difficult what's more likely. I think those could teeter either way. 100 yards is a lot of yards. 2 touchdowns could be 2 jump balls at the 5, you know?
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I think I'm going to lean 2 touchdowns. I think if a crazy 2 touchdown game is like something that could happen on the spur of a moment. Chicago's defense is good. I think to get 100 yards, it's going to be difficult no matter who. But then again, Aaron Rodgers has the greatest game of his or of his Pittsburgh Steelers career. He's got to throw the ball to somebody, and Roman Wilson's only going to be open so much, guys. So I'm going 2 touchdowns.
I think I'm going 2 touchdowns too, and that's immediately where my mind went as well. Like 2 goal line jump balls, like that feels way more plausible than him going for 100 yards, because I agree with you. The Chicago Bears, I think, are a pretty imposing defense, and I think they're going to have a lot of answers for DK Metcalf, because I think, as we talked about so often, good defenses have a really easy game plan against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is just to limit DK Metcalf. I think they'll be able to do that. Jump balls at the goal line, you can't really defend or scheme up against that. You're just hoping your man wins. I think Steelers are very confident in Mason or Aaron or Will Howard throwing it up to DK Metcalf at the goal line. Like they'll take their chances there. Either one would be huge, for the record. Like either one happens, it's a skid ending performance for DK Metcalf, regardless of which outcome happens. But they need that to take place regardless.
I agree. Jermaine, I've been asking, so I'm asking again. Why is the Skylar Thompson situation being kept so quiet? What injuries did he sustain? Who was he with? Is he suing? Jermaine. I don't believe he sustained any injuries. Truthfully, nobody talked about anything. There was no statement released. Nobody's dug into it. Nobody even talked to him because, quite frankly, when you win a game in Dublin and it's historic and your defense looks good for the first time and Calvin Austin gets injured, which is massive, and the Steelers do what they did and then come back home, nobody cares about the 3rd string quarterback on IR. You know, you can't talk. Here's the circumstance in real life. Here's the circumstance. You can't talk to guys on IR. You're not allowed to talk to players on IR unless they're designated for return. So can't even interview Skylar Thompson. You could ask the team about him, but you're not going to get much. And his agent's not going to tell you whether or not anything's happening. And from my understanding, there was a police report, but these guys were nobody was caught. I believe his phone and his watch got stolen. That's it. And I believe he was by himself. So that's That's the whole story. Like, it's just some. If I had to guess, dude, it was some guy who had a couple of Guinnesses walking home, and some English dudes were like, "Oh yeah, that watch is mine, brother. 100%, 100%."
I can't do an Irish accent. I'm trying to find one. Give me your phone, lassie. That's the best I could probably do.
That's it. That's it. I wish I had more. I truly did. I thought it was so dramatic in the moment, and then everything else happened, and we all like. I remember sitting there, like in the press box or the outdoor press box, and everybody just being like, "So we don't like talk about Skylar Thompson anymore, right?" And everybody's like, "No, there's not really anything to talk about." So, wish I had more information for you. He's still on the team though, so shout out to Skylar Thompson.
I did see him last week at the facilities, so like
still doing well.
He exists still, which is great. I love that he's
alive and well.
Yeah,
alive and well. I know. I love Will Howard. Throw to DK and have Washington block the whole way. I mean, that's the, to be honest, maybe the other way around. Be real, like maybe throw it to Darnell and have DK block, because then if DK misses somebody, at least Darnell's going to throw him into the next universe. So that would be awesome. My new go-to plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers, no questions asked, is to just throw the football to Darnell. When in doubt, find Darnell. You know what I mean? F it. Darnell's 4 yards down the field somewhere. He'll turn it into something.
Get the ball to Darnell. To quote Kicking and Screaming, Will Ferrell and Mike Ditka, get the ball to the Italians. The Italians are Darnell Washington. That is what the Steelers have to do. And the thing you left out there is that DK Metcalf, hell of a blocker in space. Powerful,
crazy.
Like it is, and that's why he's such an asset on any sort of running game or in the screen game, is because he is just a menace. So I think do a little switcheroo. I'm with you on that, Noah. But I mean, either way, they like, here's your two best playmakers. They just happen to be mountain of men's compared to the rest of the NFL. Give your playmakers the ball in space and just let good things happen. You know, I don't think you got to get overcomplicated here. You guys just got to give the ball to good players.
Yeah, I agree. Jermaine, thanks. Not being able to talk to our guys. Gotcha. Awful, dude. Worst rule in the, it's like the concussion protocol. You know what I mean? Guys' brains are all messed up. They're like, can't talk to him. Can't talk to that guy in the what are we doing? Come on. I got to know. I got to know what's going on up there. I got to know. Shout out to, once again, good old Skylar Thompson. Good old Skylar Thompson. Joe, Asante Samuel update. Is he playing this week? I do not believe he is. I will say that in the realm of MVS snaps to normal person snaps, he's definitely further on the scale to normal than MVS is. He's at least out there working and doing some stuff. I anticipate Asante Samuel getting on the roster at some point. For right now, though, I don't think it's going to be this week. I would say next week's like the beginning of a maybe. But once Darius Slay gets benched by halftime and my bold prediction comes true, that changes. That definitely changes.
For sure. Yeah, I think the window becomes, for the first time, realistic next week. If your bold prediction happens, that window just got thrown open. And I think week 14, 15, if we're not seeing Asante Samuel Jr. by then, we're having this conversation that we've been having recently about MVS. Like, dear Lord, did the moving train just go too fast once again? No snacks provided. Come on.
Flew right by him. Lance, any news on Jaylen Warren if he is playing? He returned to practice today. I do anticipate Jaylen Warren being on the field on Sunday. A lot will happen tomorrow, but him practicing today is massive, and I think that it leads to good things. However, he's a running back, and this happened in Dublin where we thought he was healthy, and then it turned out that he wasn't good enough. So you gotta keep your eyes peeled to what's going on, and I think things could change drastically. Right now, though, return to practice, that's a good sign for sure.
Sure. He was limited. Alex Highsmith was limited today. Siamalu was limited. Rodgers listed as a limited participant as well.
Shout out. Rats, did Mason take first team reps today? Yes, he did. Aaron did not do. If you're limited, that means that most likely you didn't do much, if any, team drills, which meant that Mason was still the guy. Eddie the Great, is Benny Sco just not an option at all? Look, we thought he was, okay? We thought he was. People made billions off this man catching the first touchdown. of the season, and those two people who are probably his parents and his brother, billionaires right now. He could retire any moment he wants, okay? But right now he's just a blocking guy. And that's truthfully what Benny Sco is a guy that, like, if he catches one pass every 3 games, you're like, shout out to Benny Sco. Shout out to Benny Sco. He's a special teamer, and he's an awesome special teamer. But that's as good as he gets. That's what Benny Sco is.
Yeah, then there are, there are players like a Benny Sco, like a Miles Killebrew before he was injured and out for the season, like a Connor Hayward, where their roles really are best suited to the special teams, and it's nice to get an additional contribution on some side of the ball if that's the case. But really, like, what you're looking for is, can they provide that consistency to the special teams group? And admittedly, I feel like that is the part of their game, offensive, defensive, special teams, that we've talked about the least this year, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, very much so. Agreed. Pittsburgh Hornets overreaction. Mason should start despite Rodgers wanting to play this week, as a playoff win is more important and the risk of injuring Rodgers' arm even more is too high. I don't think that's an overreaction. I don't think that's likely to happen, but I truthfully think the Steelers just say, cut it off. Just cut off the wrist. Tape it back together from the hand to the forearm, and he'll be fine. No big deal whatsoever. But I don't think that's an overreaction. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we're at the point in the NFL season where it's still early enough where you should not be risking the future for the now. This isn't a playoff race in week 12. This is the Steelers are a playoff contending team. Playoff contending teams need starting quarterbacks, and not having Rodgers could be one of them. Although Mason did it before. Maybe do it again. Mm-hmm. But I don't think this is an overreaction.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think it's a very, very valid and fair concern regarding Aaron Rodgers. And, it's a shame. It's a shame that they have to decide it. Obviously, it's a tough situation for him and the team to be in. But, I think there is as much as I agree with this sentiment of being patient and cautious and careful with him for the greater good of the season, I just don't think there is that sort of reserved nature within the Steelers locker room or head coach. Like, if they have their guy and he can go, and I think that's like an NFL football player mindset overall. Like, if I can go, you'd have to cut my arm off, right? Like, you'd have to just like full on, just like,
toss me a couple extra,
just like to use a Tomlinism, like, if you blink, cut your eyelids off, right? Like, I feel like Aaron Rodgers would sooner, and Mike Tomlin would sooner, pay management, cut that thing off, than have him miss this game if he can do everything else. So I agree. Would be shocked if he is held out strictly because the risk of him getting hurt worse is too great. That won't be the reason. They'll say the wrist is too banged up to go.
Yeah, agreed. Rasta pasta salad. Do you think Slay will be benched in the first half instead? It could happen. It could. And look at everybody, go chase your dreams. You know what I'm saying? That's what this is a good message of, is to say, always live optimistically. Always look at the glass half full instead of half empty, and believe anything is possible. That's my message to this. And
what will you do if Darius Slay has a turnover?
I'll just say that he's going to finish the game. I'll be like, well, there it is. There it is. Bold prediction gone. That's what'll happen, because that's what would happen. You get one turnover, it's over. No, there's no chance, right? There's no chance he'd come up with a turnover and get benched in the same game.
No, he couldn't. No. I think if he creates a turnover,
he doesn't get benched.
He ain't getting benched the rest of the year.
Yeah, he's there. He might surpass Joey. At that point, he might be CB1. They might move him in front of Jalen. If we're going to be really honest. That's what would happen.
Yeah, they just start moving him around.
Playing outside linebacker. Mike Lang, how the offense is constructed, what adjustments do you make? Do you make to have this offense a dangerous team, dangerous team in the playoffs? The run game is at least consistent. I think the biggest adjustment you make is letting Jaylen Warren be your offense. You know, you want an offensive identity, it's make it running the football, like aggressively, consistently running the football, and then let the rest of the offense kind of feel itself out. You know, that's crazy to say. Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf and Pat Freiermuth and Johnny Smith and Darnell Washington and Roman Wilson are all on the same field together, and Jaylen Warren is supposed to be your offense, but Jaylen Warren should be your offense, and he's the best piece of your offense. So that would be my biggest adjustment.
Yeah, I think that's a very useful one. They need to certainly make those adjustments. And the only other one I can offer, I guess, on a sort of like macro level, is I just think the playbook just needs to open up more and more for Darnell Washington, and things need to start funneling through him as a primary target rather than just a guy that is making the most of the catches that he is getting. I think there is an obvious recognition of how much his game has improved and his ability to be impactful on the Steelers offense, but it does not feel like it feels like the wide receiver 2 question can end with Darnell Washington in some capacity. I would love to see the play calling be a little bit more tailored to this, best weapon outside of DK Metcalf and Jaylen Warren. So hopefully something like that can happen.
Black Magic here. Mike T for life. Mike T for life. Shout out to Mike Tomlin, man. What a guy.
Love you, Mike.
Guy. Love you, Mike. Diamond, better to have Rodgers for this game or the Bills game? From a personal perspective, this game, because I want to see Aaron Rodgers in Chicago. From a professional standpoint, the Bills game, And this game, if you win it next week, doesn't matter. If you lose it next week, matters. And you want to know what'd suck? If you lose it and Aaron Rodgers is out for 8 weeks, like that's a worst case scenario for the Steelers. So I think the Bills game, only because of circumstance, and that circumstance could change next week and it could be irrelevant. But the circumstance today, there's no driving pressure to say in week 12 against Chicago, Aaron Rodgers has to risk his season when the Steelers have a 1-game lead on the Ravens. If they have a 2-game lead next week, I feel the same way. There's no reason to risk Aaron Rodgers when you have a 2-game lead in the AFC North. But where we stand today, I don't know. I think the future. I think you can name any game, and it's more important than this one.
Yeah, I think that's very well said, and I think there's a very simple tactical reason that the Bills game is more important. Is you look at all these teams who are fighting for wild card spots and are 5-5, 6-4. It might come down to conference record. You know what I mean? You might just need to have that to get into the playoffs at this point. I know that it's for the Steelers, it's basically win the AFC North or don't make the playoffs at this point, but this AFC is wild right now, and the playoff picture is a messy, jumbled bunch of teams. So I think the AFC games are infinitely more important for the Steelers' schedule and solidifying a playoff spot. But there's no denying that the cinema, the drama of it all, of Aaron Rodgers coming back all perked up, all ayahuasca'd out, going up against the team that he has beaten 24 times, trying to get that 25th win. That's, of course, that's the game.
For sure. Maddie, the Steelers are 1-12 against the Bears, but Rodgers isn't. How confident are you? That was smooth, right? How confident are we that we can beat the Bears? With Aaron Rodgers, confident. Without Aaron Rodgers, less confident. Yeah, I think the Bears are a good team. Do I think they're as good as their record says? No, I don't. I think that they haven't played many really good teams. They've lost to the good teams that they have played, but I also don't think that the Steelers are a very impressive football team on a week-to-week basis. I think they were impressive against Cincinnati, who sucks, just plain and simple sucks. And I'm much more confident with Rodgers, than I am if Rodgers doesn't play. And that has nothing to do with Mason. It has everything to do with the Steelers as a whole. It's like if you brought Ben back and sent him to Cleveland for 1 game, chances are the Steelers are going to win that game. It's just, that's what it is. It's this guy knows how to beat the Bears, and that helps.
For sure. For sure. Do you see I kind of am hearing some similarities in how you're describing the Bears as to how we talked about the Indianapolis Colts. Is that sort of how you see this team in some ways, like a team that is good on paper but maybe has some easily exploited flaws?
Yes, I just think the Colts are. I think the Colts are good. Like I think the Colts are gonna eventually be like crazy good this season. I think they
I
are
agree, they're
crazy
a
good this season,
contender.
but
Yeah.
like sorry, but the backup to DeAndre Swift isn't Jonathan Taylor. Like
Ain't that the truth?
yeah. I just think that there's differences. So I want to say yes in a lot of ways, yes, but also like I think the Colts are better than the Bears, but I'm not downgrading the Bears. I think the Bears are a 8-3 football team right now, and all respect to at this point in the season, your record actually means something. You know what I mean? You didn't get to 8-3 because you're just you got so lucky. No, that's not how that works. You are the Kansas City Chiefs are 5-5. If you're 8-3, you're looking pretty okay. So I would say yes and no. I would say yes and no. Renegade Minka, Noah and Jacob, does Gruden's and Rodgers' support of Will Howard give you any indication where the Steelers are heading in 2026? No, not at all. Because they would, Rodgers would support any backup quarterback. He went on a 5-minute rant about how awesome Mason Rudolph is yesterday, but nobody's talking about it because it's Mason Rudolph and not Will Howard. So that's just that's his job. John Gruden, awesome, but no, it means nothing to the Steelers. The Steelers like Will Howard, but they are very much so scouting the quarterback class next year and in 2027. So much so that like, it's the indication still remains that that's the direction that they're headed in.
Yeah, John Gruden's support means nothing.
Shout out to John Gruden, though. Hilarious
Shout out
video,
John.
dude. Shout out John Gruden, dude.
Guy. Let's see your snap count.
Sometimes do you ever just like, probably not because I'm a big weirdo. Sometimes I just go to John Gruden's like TikTok or YouTube Shorts account or whatever, and I just watch his unboxings, and he's like, "Oh, look at." I got a shirt. Shout out to the beat. And then he's got a crazy story about every team. I remember the backup long snapper at BYU in 58 drafted him to the Raiders. And I'm like, how do you do these things? He's awesome, dude. He's awesome. Shout out to John Gruden, man. Shout out to John Gruden. Oh, sorry. Forgot the W Buckets. I want 5 Darnell tight end screens per game. I want 5 Darnell touchdowns or catches every game, every single game. Shout out to Darnell Washington, shout out to Darnell Washington. How much you think he weighed in that video I sent you? I sent Jacob, if you guys haven't seen it on Twitter, Darnell Washington's middle school highlights are going viral, and this man looks like Dez Bryant. That like a legitimate same size as Dez Bryant. How much you think he weighs in that video? 8th grade,
I bet he's
probably
230 at least.
Yeah, at least.
Like,
at least
he's ginormous. It reminded me. And have you seen Benchwarmers? I doubt it.
Yes, that one I have.
Yeah, okay.
That one I have.
There's a great scene where the one team tries to bring an adult into a little league game, and they ask him to provide a birth certificate, and it's just a picture of him with $20 that says "I am 12." And that's what that Darnell Washington video reminded me of. It was like, who let a grown man onto a football field against children? Because
there should be weight class.
It's unreal. It's unbelievable. You sent that to me, and I was like, this is like AI. This is fake. But no, it's
real.
14-year-old Darnell Washington weighs more than me now by a lot.
We are like, that man is a good 3 feet taller than everybody else in that video. It's awesome. It's awesome. Rasta pasta salad. What's more likely? A-Rod does the Generation X pose after a touchdown, or drop the mic pose. Ooh, that's a good one. I'll throw a flyer out here. I think the most likely is we get a discount double check, because that man owns the city, baby. Owns the windy city of Chicago. We'll
definitely get some sort of clip, like some sort of viral clip of him saying something, maybe not PG. If he does
for sure
something well. I'm excited to hear that for sure. If he does a Degeneration X pose, I'd be so thrilled.
I'd lose it for a second. I'd probably cheer. I'd be like, oh, sorry guys. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to do that. Potato salad. Darnell, what up? Darnell and Herbig give me long-term hopes. To be honest with you, I think Keanu Benton's playing so well right now that I'd toss him in there too. He's looked dang good the last 2 weeks. Dang good. I'm starting to flip the script a little bit on good old Keanu Benton. Not that Darnell and Nick Herbig ain't it, because Darnell and Nick Herbig are it. Shout out to Darnell and Nick Herbig. That's left tackle Darnell Washington and outside linebacker too, Nick Herbig. But I'd toss Keanu in there too. I think Keanu's looked really, really good the last 2 games. Really, really good.
Absolutely. And that entire that's all the same draft class, no? All 23?
Every single one of them. Every single one of them.
Good year to be a 23 draft pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
For sure. Potato salad, 9 months already, y'all. What are we naming the kid? We're naming the kid good old
Picky picnic pack.
Picky the picnic pack. Shout out to Potato Salad, dude. Shout out to all you guys. 9 months. It's crazy to think we've been on here for like 10 days, let alone 9 months. Kevin, when do y'all think they pass to Spencer Anderson again? I hope soon, man. I think a little Spencer Anderson fullback pass is in the mix. You'd think that Spencer Anderson throws a pass between now and the end of the season?
Wow. No. But I bet Darnell Washington might, because that man's
so
talents
awesome.
are unlimited and infinite, like the bag Mary Poppins carries. You know,
For
like
sure.
there's just so many things in that bag of goodies.
For sure. Carl, mean cup of Joe, green bean salad, spackler. What's more likely? Tight ends outscore all other skill positions, wide receivers or running backs, or D-line causes more turnovers than the secondary. Oh, I'm going the D-line. I'm going D-line. I think a couple of fumbles. You're playing a rookie running back. And Caleb Williams. I keep saying Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson's on the Steelers. I was like, who is that guy? Who's that guy that's in my head? Caleb Williams. I think a couple of fumbles is where I'm leaning in this one.
Wow. I'm not backing off the tight end love right now. I think it's theirs for the taking when it comes to the offense against the Chicago Bears. Darnell Washington, maybe even Pat Freiermuth, maybe, God forbid, we see a Jonnu Smith sighting at this point, but just maybe it could be a lot of tight ends, and I think that only increases my expectations should Mason Rudolph be in the game.
Okay. The baby salad is tater tot because potato salad. Shout out. Unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. Potato salad, like the streamer, Darnell gonna hurdle you. Shout out my guy. Thank you guys so much. Can't thank you enough as always. A couple more here as we round this one out. Tyrone, Noah, how many yards A-Rod getting in a touchdown? All right, I'm guessing minimum 355. Not 355. 3 touchdowns. That's my guess. That's my guess on this one. Shout out.
260 and 2 touchdowns.
Not even close, brother. I'm telling you, greatest game ever. Leroy, is it crazy how Mount Washington? It is crazy how Mount Washington progressed, because last season we weren't speaking as positive about him. I think his athleticism and his route running has been crazy. I'll also say this, 311, the guy's down, from my understanding, nearly 20 pounds from a year ago, which means, I don't know about you guys, but I lose 20 pounds. I'm like, ooh, nimble. I go for a run right now. You know what I mean? I can only imagine what that's like at 325 going. Can't wait to cut on these knees. What? Oh my gosh. There it goes. The whole thing gone. No. Yeah. Shout out to Darnell. I think it was a pretty good step forward this season. I think their use of them, I think they saw it in the summer, and now it's slowly becoming a thing. So it's awesome to see. It's very much so awesome to see.
Agreed.
Shout out to Black Magic becoming a member. Shout out my guy. Make sure that you're calling in to the call-in show. I'm not going to read this next paid for comment. I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Deadpool, Noah and Jacob, Mason Rudolph has Nick Foles pedigree, can win you a handful of games to include a Super Bowl run potentially, but isn't good enough to put together a full season or sustainable QB play. I agree with this. I think that I think that when you look at it and you're looking at what Mason's capable of, he is a quality spot starter. That's how I view Mason Rudolph. And I think that's exactly what you're looking for at a backup quarterback, and I think that's exactly what they have.
Yeah, exactly. No more, no less. Let's not get crazy about it. Let's just be objective. Solid backup. Solid number 2.
Solid number 2. I know, love Will Howard. Need to see A-Rod's tush push pose after the win. Oh, that would be it, dude. A little tush push to end it. Just that would be it. That would be it. That would be it. And then we're gonna finish it off with Eduardo. What's your first Steelers jersey? Do you still have it, and does it fit? It's a good question. Shout out my guy.
Does it fit? No. I think I got one when I was quite little. First one I remember was a Jerome Bettis one I had when I was probably 5 or 6. I could maybe get it over my forearm.
I would say, sorry, I'm reading the comment section. No, my first one was a Hines Ward. Do you remember the name, the player?
Yeah, it was Jerome Bettis one.
Shout out. Sorry, blacked out there for a second. Mine was Hines Ward, first jersey ever. I went to school. Shout out if you're watching, you're gonna know who you are. Probably not watching, but shout out my guy. I went to school with Hines Ward's agent's son, and he was like, "Oh, I'll get that jersey signed for you." And I said, "Oh, that's sick." Definitely didn't fit me, but a signed Hines Ward jersey, that's awesome. So gave it to him. It's been about 11 years. I've never seen that jersey since. So hope it's well somewhere. Hope it's well somewhere. I also don't think he
jersey.
I don't think he fit into an adult or a youth large, but in case he did. All right, I'm going to read this one without actually clicking on it because I think we're getting a little too carried away with the nonsense today. Are Darnell's combine knees concerns going to scare us from locking him up long term? I do think there's some concerns there. I do think that there's some concerns to where Darnell is, and I think the Steelers are okay with it right now. I do. I don't think it's going to stop them from locking him up long term. I do think it's going to stop them from giving him a boatload of money to lock him up long term.
Yep, I agree with that for sure.
Word. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Before you head out of here, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. With that said, we'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.